Pub Battles, Germantown by Command Post Games. Starting off with the American night move, the Americans essentially get a free move, a turn 0 move, but 2 random HQs will get lost and won't actually start until turn 1. Okay, green comes on. His command makes it to within 1/3 because they come on in column. They can get this close to the enemy position while in column. That leaves them enough time to get out of column, so now green's command is out of column. Armstrong makes his way through the fog. Washington reaches this point before he too must come out of column. This means that both Sullivan and Smallwood got lost in the night and won't be here till next turn. The sun rises and Sullivan's column stops here, coming within range of Chew House. At this point he must remain in column. Now Howe can't begin in road column, but he switches to road column and moves like so, leaving Nathaniel's troops along the Germantown pike. He takes his command and starts going up the west, along the Schuylkill River. Armstrong moves down Ridge Road and comes out of column. He'd like to get all the way down to the bridge across the Wissahickon, but that's as far as he can move and come out of column, and that's what he does. Smallwood races down the east. Green deploys and attacks Chew House. The detachment at Chew House falls, but not without effort. Armstrong deploys at the bridge. Unbeknownst to the British, Smallwood deploys off to their right. Sullivan joins Green. The early morning sees combat on the British flanks, left and right. In a stinging rebuke, the militia drives back the British attack. And on the right, also bad news for the British, as they end up falling back. Americans lose the forward detachment. Smallwood, sensing easy pickings, charges forward the spent British. Nathaniel arrives without a moment to spare. Howe, stymied at the bridge by the resilient militia troops, realizes he does not have time to march a long flank march around, which is kind of his way of operating. So instead, he wheels to the right. Nathaniel fades back and begins his own flanking maneuver. Green advances forward and discovers the rest of the British Army. Washington has Knox and his artillery blind in the fog set up along the Wissahickon River. Howe drives hard into the American right. With plans already in motion, Sullivan attacks on the American left. Let's see what happens in this midday melee. On the British left, the Continentals are destroyed and sent back. However, the cream of Howe's troops has also fallen back in confusion. And on the British right, although outflanked by the American attack, the British give as good as they get before falling back. Okay, it's early afternoon. Nathaniel was going to try a flank move, but the Continentals were onto him, and Sullivan sends men around. And in front of Sullivan, they've attacked the Hessians. But on the British left, Howe is driving forward with Cornwallis's troop. Cornwallis is stuck over here, trying to get across. So Howe is still running this side, and it looks like Green is in for a heck of a fight. Not without first doing some damage, the Hessians are destroyed. Green's troops bring a stinging rebuke to Matthew's advance. There is heavy and bloody fighting on the far British left, but Knox's artillery is driven off, and Washington's troops are destroyed. Okay, it's mid-afternoon. Now here's a question for the viewers at home. If you were Washington, your lead troops are spent. You've got apparently strong British elements on your flanks. What would Washington do? Now this is interesting because as you draw chits, if Green moves after the Brits, but who knows where they'll be, perhaps they might want to do some attacking. They might grab something. But the orders, it can't be that quick. Right now when everyone's moving, what are the orders you're giving? Attack or fall back? Washington has to save and preserve the Continental Army or it's all over. That's always on his mind, always his concern. Smallwood is drawn. He finds Sullivan and he says, hey, let's do a double envelopment on the British troops across behind the pond. Sullivan gives his assent. To give that time to play out and still be following his orders to retreat, Sullivan takes his time and restructures his line, preparing to retreat. Washington sets up the artillery on a small hill. Cornwallis orders the grenadiers forward. Howe continues the pressure on the Continentals. Armstrong continues to hold. He's not really sure how the rest of the battle is going. Sullivan orders both flank attacks. Green's troops fall back as ordered. Nathaniel's troops are trapped. Back to back, they form up in a hedgehog and defend. All the combat is on the British right. Flanked and recognizing a bad situation, the grenadiers fall back. Trapped with no way out, the British fight defiantly, take heavy casualties, but they're not out yet. Nafassan runs over to die with his men. Green's Virginians continue to fall back. Sullivan's troops are still fighting. Surprised by the attack, Matthew's troops retreat. Latch and Nafassan's troops fall, but Smallwood's militia also disappears. And with the destruction of Nafassan's corps, combined with the heavy losses that Howe has seen Cornwallis's corps suffer, the British Army breaks and routs. And this occurred at the end of turn 7, so right after dinner.